We're going to talk to Dr. Pamela Gay
Yes.
from the Astronomical Society of the Pacific, because it's very exciting times tonight up in the sky.
Yeah.
There's a lunar eclipse, which you might be able to see if the weather clears up.
Yes.
And there's a comet, which is coming quite nearby as well. Let's find out what it's all about. Dr. Pamela, if you don't mind me calling you that, very good morning.
Good morning to you.
Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Now, this lunar eclipse is something slightly unusual, isn't it? It's being called a snow moon, is that right?
Well, the snow moon is just the full moon in February, so that
Okay.
isn't that exciting. That's we get one of those every single year. But the lunar eclipse, this is one of the less dramatic ones. The moon is going to go from bright white to a little bit beige around 1 in the morning. But this is the kind of thing that doesn't happen that often, and it's actually a precursor to we have this amazing solar eclipse coming in North America next summer.
Okay.
And the 6 months apart is because this is about how often the moon gets lined back up.
Okay.
To bring us to the
Okay.
eclipse.
Now, we've seen a lot of
Yeah.
interesting sort of moon or lunar activity, I suppose you might say, for me anyway, over the past sort of 2 years in terms of, we've seen strawberry moons, we've seen blue moons, we've seen, moons which appear to be quite reddish in colour. Is that something that we're more noticing now, or is it something that's happening more?
Well, I think people are talking more about the names just because with social media we have the ability to have that one lone grandpa that remembers, oh, this is a harvest moon, and everyone starts sharing it out, and we hear these names. And we're starting to be more aware of the fact that we do get these super moons, these times when the moon is just a little bit closer and appears a little bit bigger in the sky. These things have been happening for, since the Earth and Moon have started to exist together. And now we're looking up more and noticing more and learning more.
It's absolutely right. Doctor, I'm fascinated by the penumbral lunar eclipses that you've been talking about, but I'm even more fascinated about this comet, which is circling around this weekend. Comet 45P, to make its closest approach to Earth this weekend. That's a pretty exciting development, isn't it?
It's amazingly exciting. In fact, it's going to be 32 times the distance between the Earth and the Moon away from us. So
Wow.
go to the Moon, keep going 32 more times,
Yeah.
and you'll get to this adorable little green comet that is moving so fast that it will appear to move a fist's distance across the sky over the course of just a single day.
Well, do you know what? It wouldn't take us that long to get there in that case, would it? Because
To the comet?
Well, yeah, because we can get to the moon in about 6 days, can't we, if my memory serves me right, with the moon landings. So multiply that by 30 and we'd be there in 6 months.
It's true. The problem is we would have needed to have launched 6 months ago, and we weren't thinking ahead.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm thinking. But I suppose, you could actually, if we had the resources, we could get to the comet if we planned it properly, couldn't we, ahead?
We really could. Now, the trick is we don't always know exactly what a comet's going to do ahead of time because as they pass near the sun, they change. And sometimes the sun radically changes them. So we got lucky. This one's coming nearby, but we could have gotten unlucky in many different ways.
And how easy will it be? I mean, obviously, as you might not be surprised to hear, it's quite wet and rainy here at the moment in London anyway. I mean, how easy will it be to see either of these events, either the comet and or the lunar eclipse?
So the lunar eclipse, it's not the most exciting of lunar eclipses. We're not going to get one of those deep red blood moons that we often get. But if you have clear skies, you'll be able to see it noticeably will change colors. It will look more like that orange that you see when it's right on the horizon, but it will be high in the sky when it appears that colored. So about the times the pubs are closing, go out, look up, you'll see a moon of a different colour.
Yeah, well, that happens a lot to Porky. He looks up into the sky and sees all kinds of things flying around.
Excuse me. Now, I understand, Doctor, and we're very grateful for you to come onto our show tonight. I understand that this comet, 45P, will return again in 2022. Now, you've just been talking about forward planning. Is there any reason why the resources of man on Earth cannot plan to land some sort of trajectory onto that comet when it's around again in 2022? Because it really is incredibly close to the Earth, isn't it?
It is this time, but the lineup, it doesn't always line up exactly the same way, and it's not going to be quite as close next time. And, the crazy thing is 2022 sounds like it's not that far away, but when it comes to getting government funding in place, we probably would have needed to have started planning 10 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
And do we know where this comet sort of came from originally?
Well, most comets of this particular type originate out kind of near Pluto in what we call the Kuiper Belt.
The Kuiper Belt, yeah.
Large, it's all these chunks of ice in the outer solar system and changes in gravity where one object perturbs another, fling them in at us.
Mm-hmm.
You sound as if you know about this place near Pluto.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you know about it?
Well, the Kuiper Belt's very famous the sense that it's usually the source of comets that swing by,
Is that right?
but not that far away. For instance, Halley's Comet doesn't come from that region.
Some people
does
call
it,
it
Doc?
Halley's Comet, don't
Yeah, Halley's Comet. And we're not going to see that again for a while, are we?
Well, pretty much all of these repeating comets, even the ones that we see maybe twice a lifetime, are coming in from the Kuiper Belt. The Oort cloud, which is even more distant, we actually haven't been able to resolve anything at the Oort cloud distance yet.
Mm-hmm.
We know it also throws ice in at the inner solar system, but the things coming in from out there, they have orbits that are thousands of years, maybe even something comes in and it never comes back again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, without wishing to get you into the political area, Dr. Gay, I wonder what the scenario is going to be with NASA over the next few years, because obviously everybody's kind of watching what Donald Trump's going to do next and what he's going to open up or shut down. Is he, as far as you know, somebody who is in favour of space exploration, or is he not?
So far, everything that has been said publicly, which is all I know, is that he's not planning to do any changes to NASA, for which I'm very grateful because I am funded by NASA.
Right.
And we're still waiting to learn more about the new administrator we're going to get, but we're going to keep exploring. This is our mandate, to go out, look beyond the edge of our solar system and see what's out there and explore everything within our solar system.
Right.
And so far, Trump seems to be okay with that.
Okay, well, that's good. I mean, obviously he's in favour of what's going on out there, I suppose. And what about what you might be discovering over the course of the next 12 months? Have you got any exciting projects on the go?
I do have some, but I have to admit I can't talk about them.
No.
Until we're done.
Really? What are they?
Top secret?
Not top secret. I guess what I can say is we're currently working on projects that will make it easier to use all of the stunning photography being taken by the International Space Station astronauts.
Yes.
We're working on projects that's going to make it possible to use that to study how our Earth is changing, to look at how flooding changes the paths of rivers and changes where forests are growing after forest fires. All of this gets captured in just the tourist photos of the astronauts.
Well, okay, and if we're improving the photography, presumably we can spy on the rogue countries on Earth, which we might have a problem with in the future, yeah?
That kind of goes beyond the science I'm paid to do. That's someone else's.
Well, yes, sure.
Yeah, that's someone
sure.
else's job. You can't have the space agency doing that, because then they'd be attacked by those people who are being spied on.
Well, I suppose so.
You can't have that.
What I'm saying is,
you see, the trouble is, Dr. Gay, Mr. Parry and I, in our previous lives, used to be print journalists. And we used to cover wars and that kind of thing.
That's right.
Porky, unfortunately, used to not always be as shall we say, neutral in these matters as he should have been.
That's not true at all. That's not true. But, Doc, there's so much of the universe we still haven't explored, haven't we? So how far can we go? Can we just put a rocket into space and just say go? How far would it go before it stopped transmitting information back to us?
You know, this is something we're working to figure out.
Yeah.
Currently we have the Voyager spacecraft that are working to make their way just out of our solar system, and we can still hear them.
Wow.
And if you go to the nasa.nasa.gov/DNS for Deep Space Network, DSN rather, you can actually see what we're currently receiving data from. And what I love is you can go to this website and see data from the Voyager spacecraft coming back on a regular basis.
Yeah, that's pretty
You
amazing.
know, we can see, we can get outside of our solar system and give it another 20 years.
Crikey, that's amazing stuff, isn't it?
Tremendous.
It really is.
Very exciting. Dr. Gay, lovely to have you on the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Perhaps we'll get you on a bit later on in the year and see how you're getting on with some of those top secret projects.
That would be
because
brilliant.
we like to break the news on these shows of ours. So,
brilliant.
Fascinating stuff. So look out, just as the pubs are shutting tomorrow night.
Yes.
Is the straight answer for the lunar eclipse. And maybe the comet as well.
And all sorts of different colours of the lunar eclipse.
Exactly right.
From beige to silver and back again.
Yeah, that's two colours, isn't it?
Yes.
Not really that many.
No, they can be both.
Well, that's still only 2.
One merges from one to the other. That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah, okay. Lunar expert
Darkest
Mr.
shade
Parry
of silver
speaks.
during the eclipse.
Yeah.
Paint your palette blue and grey. Look out on a summer's day with eyes that know the darkness in my soul. Shadows on the hills. Sketch the trees and the daffodils. Catch the breeze and the winter chills in colors on the snowy linen land. Now I understand what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, how you tried to set them free.
Beautiful song, that, isn't it?
It is a lovely song, Matt.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that was Don McLean.
It was indeed.
That was his follow-up song to American Pie, wasn't it?
I suppose it was probably the next hit that he had. Yeah.
And it was a completely different style, instead of being the opus magnus that...
Magnus Opus.
Magnus Opus, even, that the American Pie was. It was a sort of beautiful ballad.
Well, he's written a lot of ballads, actually.
Yeah, in tribute to Vincent van Gogh.
Yes, exactly right. Now, speaking of people who are a bit pompous, and, you were talking yesterday about, if you remember, Sir Ben Kingsley.
Oh, yes.
A man who you said always regards himself as being above everybody else.
And a knight of the realm.
One of our listeners, a guy called Tim, ran into him in his local Indian restaurant. Right?
Really?
You
Where
believe
is
that?
Where is it?
No, he posted a tweet, right, which I'm going to show you now.
Yeah.
And he said that he was absolutely charming. He didn't insist on being called Sir Ben, but he did insist on the guy taking off his rucksack before allowing him to take a picture. And he said he didn't really want to do a selfie, but they somehow managed to convince him to do a selfie. Yeah. But it doesn't say which local Indian it was in.
Who had the rucksack on?
I presume Tim did.
I
presume not Ben Kingsley.
Well, who knows?
I mean, there's the picture there.
That's okay,
Isn't that funny?
Okay.
I mean, what a coincidence is that?
Golly, that is incredible. And by the way, this guy's sort of warmly embracing him, so he's, Sir Ben Kingsley's not sort of objected to the touchy-feely nature of it.
He's got his arm around Ben Kingsley. I'm not sure Ben Kingsley knows an awful lot about that.
Yeah, well, that's
and
good.
Apparently
that's
he's
good.
not quite. He's more a more man of the people style than you were suggesting.
Oh, well, okay. Well, I'm happy to accept that, and I withdraw any allegations of pomposity whatsoever.
Yes. Now, what about this guy that's having to go across the Atlantic, by the way? Because there's another piece of news on another...
What's this?
There's another lone adventurer, isn't there? Who's going to set off and cross the Atlantic on his own.
I've already called him Captain Pugwash.
Captain Pugwash seems a bit harsh.
In a tweet. Well, these guys, what happens is they go off, the great adventurers and all that, and then we have to risk other people's lives, usually, to rescue these guys when they suddenly...
The swimmer, to be fair, didn't get very far,
idiotic swimmer who will swim the Atlantic. Oh, really? How far did he get? 16 miles or something?
No, he was a bit further than that. But
I don't think it was.
Maybe he shouldn't have been practising in the Cheltenham police swimming pool.
No, exactly.
He should have probably been practising in something that was a bit more like the Atlantic.
That's right. Somebody should have warned him to put a bit of the old anti-jelly sting spray on.
He got stung, didn't he?
Yeah, almost paralysed him, the amount of stings he got and all that kind of stuff. Completely idiotic individual. He'd be better off swimming in a river or something like David Williams did.
Well, that's not very safe either.
Ocean swimming, of course, is not for the faint-hearted.
It certainly isn't, no.
Listen, what do you think of... businesses that put sandwich boards out on the pavement to advertise their wares?
Well, as long as the pavement isn't impaired and the pavement's big enough to handle them, I would say that's absolutely fine and dandy.
Well, I think it's great. I think it's a great part of business when they put these boards out. Traditional fish and chips, or pint of bitter, £2.50 on Tuesdays.
I quite like it if they. There's a certain sort of line that must not be crossed. I quite like it if there's something funny on them.
Yes.
As long as it's not too stupid, if you know what I mean.
And anyway, let me tell
you. What do you mean anyway?
Well, I'm just about
to say... Do you know what I'm saying? Some of them put funny messages on.
Yes, that's right. I agree.
Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, it does. But anyway, York is now banning them because they can be a danger to blind people.
Well, I can see that.
I can as well, but the point is that...
Well, lots of things are a danger to blind people.
Of course they are.
Because they can't see anything.
Blind people have dogs, guide dogs, which are very efficient and are trained to a very, very high standard. And I think it's a little bit unfair to, to dent the ability for a trader to express himself through his business and sandwich boards and all that for the sake of, what is basically a minority of people in society who we do look after to our best of our ability.
But it's a great example, once again, is it not, of, a sort of sledgehammer to crack a nut.
Yes.
Yes, of course it might be dangerous if there was an awful lot of them littering the pavement, and so that people who were sight impaired were having difficulty manoeuvring around them.
Yeah.
But it's not, you don't have to ban everything, do you?
Yeah.
Why would you ban it?
After months of wrangling with locals, officials in York insisted that A-boards, as they're called, I call them sandwich boards.
Well, I guess because they're shaped like an A.
That's right, yeah. Left little safe space for pedestrians, and obstruction had become a very real problem for those who were blind, partially sighted, or used a wheelchair. Much of the city centre has narrow streets that still follow the old pattern within the medieval city wall, and some even mark Viking property boundaries that date back 1,000 years. All of that I agree with, but the thing is that, you see, this is another situation with cyclists, really.
Yeah.
A minority of people get on bikes, they use the roads for a minority period of the day, and yet they take up 1/3 of the total road space of some parts of great cities like London.
That's true.
And it's ludicrous to overcompensate minorities because you're then patronising them.
Yeah.
And that patronisation doesn't do anybody any good.
Well, also, there's no point, as I say, in banning all sorts of things because, with the best will in the world, if you are sight impaired and you're not able to see as well as other people, there are lots of things that could be a danger to you as you walk on the street. I mean, curbsides could be a danger.
Yeah.
Pavements that are uneven could be a danger. But, they don't make sure that all of the pavements are actually hammered down properly, do they?
No, I totally agree. Bradford, by the way, Bradford City Council has imposed a year-long ban while they assess the situation. And in Liverpool, the City Council has licensed A-boards since 2012 and enforces guidelines such as leaving a 2-metre clearance area around them. Well, that's fair enough. And not putting them in conservation areas outside listed buildings.
Right.
Well, I'm not sure about that because listed buildings are sometimes the most interesting buildings, aren't they?
And also a lot of organisations that use sandwich boards, or A-boards, whatever you want to call them, they tend to be sort of local traders. They tend to be people who have got smaller businesses.
Also,
so it's another attack on small business.
Of course it is. And there's going to be another attack on small businesses soon because, there's a rates review, a business rates review going on at the moment. And it's going to increase some business rates by 400%. I mean, it's quite ridiculous the way it's been done.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say about these sandwich boards is quite often they're not advertising wares outside your premises. They are to direct you to the premises.
Yeah.
So you're walking along the main road and there's a little alleyway in some place like York or Chester or somewhere like that.
Right.
And there's a sandwich board at the end saying, come to, Porky's Pantry. Get yourself, a pie and a pint for £2.50 or something like that. You know what I mean?
You wouldn't see it otherwise.
No, you wouldn't see it.
So they wouldn't have like those signs that you see when you're driving around Britain.
Exactly.
And you get a sign for a pub.
That's right.
And you end up driving down a road for ages and ages and ages.
That's right.
And sometimes you never find the
that's
pub.
Right. Exactly.
I think sometimes they're just phantom signs.
Oh, there's those all over the place. There's one I pass. It's called the Stag, I think, or something. And I went looking for it once. And you're right. I drove about 2.5 miles. And I thought,
well, it's typical in this country. You drive for a while, and then you never see another sign.
No, that's right. Exactly.
It's like, well, where's the second sign?
Exactly.
To help you along.
Exactly.
Talking of business rates, by the way, we've seen the front page story in the Times.
What's it say?
Which says Britain faces biggest tax bill for 30 years.
And that's a
Public
problem,
purse under increased pressure from spending cuts. You know what that means, do you?
Well, it means
they're going to come after people like you to pay more of your fair share.
Well, I don't mind paying my fair share, and I'm very happy to, as long as everybody else does, and as long as the money that the government takes, they don't waste on ridiculous policies like the huge size of our overseas aid.
Well, it's not that huge.
Bill. It is huge, and the point is that I want to help people in the developing countries to have better lives and to become a modern country more quickly. But we all know, both from anecdotal evidence and from research done by those who are up to it, that an awful lot of that money is wasted it's wasted. It's given to despots. It's given to people who misuse it and abuse it. And
that is by far and away the smallest amount of money that goes out of the budget. And there's many other ways.
And it's got to be drawn in.
There's many ways that they waste it. Tax receipts will exceed 37% of national income for the first time since Thatcher's government in 1986, when she was paring back the size of the state. This is according to the Institute for Fiscal Studies, which means basically they're going to try and eliminate the persistent budget. I don't know why they're going to try and eliminate the budget deficit. They haven't tried for years and years and years.
But what is the consistent pattern here? The consistent pattern is this. After years of socialist rule, you end up with a huge bill. And then you get years of Tory rule where they try to cut it back. And then you get your years of Labour rule, which ends up with a huge... It happens all the time. That's a consistent pattern of the 20th century.
Yeah.
Because
Although it's becoming less and less extreme, isn't it? In terms of who's been in. Blair, you wouldn't really call Blair a socialist, and you might call Gordon Brown a bit of a socialist.
Oh, Gordon Brown was a...
And by the same token, you wouldn't call David Cameron an arch Tory either.
Gordon Brown was a rabid tax and spend chancellor.
He was.
I don't care whether Tony Blair was a socialist or not.
Blair was not a socialist.
But he was the Prime Minister who allowed the Chancellor to dictate by the fiscal power of taxes, and that caused us a huge problem. And, by the way, I'm not necessarily criticising. I'm saying that one philosophy is to spend huge amounts of money and let the state control people's lives, and the other philosophy is not to spend huge amounts of money and allow people to spend their own money.
Yeah.
And when the two clash, you get chaos.
You do get chaos, but somehow that seems to be what it's been like for years and years and years and years. Anyway, coming up next, we're not going to talk about chaos, we're going to talk about dating.
Yes.
And whether you've got something in common with someone who hates the same thing as you, and much, much more as well with Lisa Daly.
Yes.
Stevie has texted in. He says, I'm a blind person who lives in York and I really can't see what the problem is with these sandwich boards.
Right, good.
Well, I mean, I suppose you might
Yes.
not have a problem with them where you are, but
Yes.
maybe other people do. We shall see.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about matters of the heart.
Indeed.
Which we do occasionally with Lisa Daly.
Yes.
Lisa is back with her relationship advice, which is always
Excellent.
very, very good. Lisa, very good morning to you. Welcome back to the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me back.
Lovely
Not
to
at all.
hear from you again,
We
Lisa.
always look forward to having you on the show. Now, I'm amazed that anybody would want to get this new app, which is all about finding people who believe and hate the same things that you do. Surely the whole point of going out with someone is that you have a few arguments and you have a few differences of opinion. Why would you want to be with someone who agrees with everything you say?
Why would you want to just spoil that right away when you could, wait until you've been dating a couple of months and then have the big blowout over politics or whatever? Yeah. It's funny because there's been some interesting research from sociologists about how people often connect with each other based on their hatred of other people.
Yes.
And so there is some something to this sort of idea. And when I'm thinking about it, I think I hate to camp. Like, camping to me is like it's a fate worse than death. I would rather go to hell than to go camping.
Porky hates camping as well.
Yeah, I do.
So there's two things. There's one thing in common you both got.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, the call of the wild and all that, sleeping under canvas, creepy crawlies all over the floor. No,
Right.
thank you. Lisa, you're
No, thank you.
Yeah,
so I think we could bond over our mutual distaste of sleeping on the rocks and peeing outside.
I totally agree.
I think we could.
Now, Lisa, I think this is a very good idea. This app about I hate what I hate, because surely that gets rid of all the small talk, doesn't it? The first two dates are always you're feeling your way around.
What?
I don't mean literally.
What do you mean?
I mean literally.
Well, there's that picture of you at the Savoy with the lovely Sarah.
Well,
feeling your way around her.
Well, I'm just trying to make her feel comfortable.
Yeah.
But, no, what I'm saying is, you could actually have a great and explosive first date by agreeing on all the nerds in society that you dislike, of all the situations, the, public transport and things like that you like, of all the politicians that you hate, and all the, the social no's that the two of you enjoy together. So I think it's a winner.
I think that people do that on online dating anyway. I think that I think it's really clever. It's sort of a different, instead of bonding over things that you like, which is kind of funny. I mean, there are lots of sites where you can date the same, person of the same political preference.
Yeah.
Or there was a funny little story in the article today about this app about women who love beards and guys who have beards getting together. Right? Or people who love bacon, which I think is a fabulous idea because bacon is delicious.
Yeah.
So you are already doing that kind of thing when you're meeting someone online. You're already talking about, I love this, or I don't like this, or I hate camping. And on paper, you can match up with someone perfectly. But as you know, you can go out on a date with somebody who sounds like they would be great, and maybe their picture's attractive, and you've had some good, sort of email rapport back and forth, but you actually get there and there's just no spark. Yeah. And that's because we can have things in common with people.
Most women get to that point with him after the first 20 minutes, to be honest.
That's a bit harsh.
And still not connect.
But also, if there's a
different way of getting to the same point.
I mean, I don't know exactly how this app works and how different it is from other ways, as you say, that people tend to have things in common anyway. But it's also open to abuse, isn't it? Because, particularly now when the world, particularly in the US and Europe, is so polarised by certain issues, like Donald Trump, for example. People are going to pretend to be a Trump hater in order to get into the pants of a girl that they like the look of, aren't they?
They might, although it doesn't quite work like that. So what happens with this particular app is that you see different things, like say you see a picture of Taylor Swift, and if you like Taylor Swift, you're going to swipe up. If you hate Taylor Swift, you're going to swipe down. And if you couldn't care either way, you'll swipe to one side or the other.
Oh, I see.
Same thing with Bacon or Barack Obama or whatever.
The Patriots. I see somebody was demonstrating against the Patriots yesterday in America.
Patriots. Well, everybody's acting like it's and it is a huge deal. It's a great accomplishment to have won 5 Super Bowls, but let's not forget that the Pittsburgh Steelers have won 6.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
You have some interest in the Pittsburgh Steelers, obviously.
Just a little teeny bit. Just a little, just the 6 Super Bowls. So it is one of those. And it's not until you've sort of picked things that you like and hate that the app will match you up. Like, oh, this person over here also hates Taylor Swift, camping, this, and this, and burritos. And that's when it connects to you.
The thing is, Lisa, none of these are fail-safe, and I'll tell you why. Because, you read in magazines occasionally about people who are always trying to find a partner on an internet dating site and all that. And they think they've got the perfect partner. And I read one the other day. The woman got into the restaurant first, couldn't believe when the guy that she was dating turned up. He was dressed like a tramp because she'd never actually asked him what his sort of attire was like. She thought she'd got his his personality perfectly grounded, and then found that the bloke walked in not only dressed like a tramp but with a rucksack on his back carrying all his possessions, and she immediately realised that it was a complete waste of time for being there, and managed to get out before they actually even made contact. So even the best laid plans of mice and men, what do you hate, what do I hate, there are some questions you don't ask because they're just too obvious.
Right. They're not. Or you just make assumptions based on the other factors that you do connect over. And if you think about it, when we're looking for love, you're in the early stages of a relationship, let alone when you're first meeting someone, we're very willing to sort of overlook those, those flaws, things that later on we would really, or maybe on paper, it would really bother us because our brains are sort of shut down with all these hormones and chemicals when we are in the initial stages of attraction. So the things that
people also
make us crazy,
and they lie to each other, don't they? People lie to each other because they don't either one want to upset the other person, or they don't want the other person to think they're a horrible person, so they give a different opinion to the one they really hold.
Which is terrible. You're absolutely correct. Lying is absolutely rampant in online dating. It's probably the worst problem with online dating. But the other thing is it's really a terrible strategy if you're a dater, because if you're lying, if you're trying to pretend that you are someone else or that you have different opinions or you like different things in order to attract someone, you're going to attract someone who is interested in someone who's different than you are. I mean, eventually you're going to have to stop sucking in your gut and pretending you like PBS and just be who you are. Yeah. And if you're not, sort of trusting that there's actually someone out there who will like you for you and all your little weirdnesses, then you're doing yourself a big disservice, but you're also wasting the other person's time.
You sure are. You see, if it happened with me, Lisa, the thing that would kill off my romantic intentions immediately would be if we sat down at the table and then broke out the old Pinot Grigio. That's great, a few glasses of that. Then the menu comes along, and suddenly this lady orders snails in garlic.
What's wrong with that?
I can't stand garlic. If anybody in my company's eating garlic, I have to leave. And I would leave.
Well, you're just a very odd, intolerant person.
No, I'm not. Do you understand my position there, Lisa, don't you?
Do Do you have a garlic allergy?
No,
I just hate garlic.
No,
I
just
can't
really, really hate it.
I don't like the taste of it. I don't like it on people's breath. I don't like it on my breath. I think it's...
You eat Indian food, though, don't you?
I do, yeah.
Which has garlic in it.
Not to huge extent.
There's still quite a lot of garlic.
Antisocial behaviour. I mean, I just can't stand it. So that would be a deal breaker immediately for me.
Well, and the thing is there's certainly another person out there in the universe who is willing to either give up garlic or who hates it as much.
Yeah, but they might be ugly. I mean, there are certain rules.
But, I mean, would he be able to discover from this app?
Of course.
Would he be able to discover from this app whether there are people out there who don't like garlic? I mean, does it come up with stuff like that, or do you have to enter that into it?
It does come. No, it comes up with thousands of strange, weird little things. So garlic could certainly be something.
Right.
And it is funny what people bond over. They certainly can bond over. I mean, long term, you can probably have some fun talking about the things that you hate. Certainly, I do occasionally.
Yeah.
But you also have to have things that you like, that you love together. Yeah. Because if your entire relationship is based on negativity, then you're going to be doomed.
That's not going to be good.
Well, that's the problem.
That's not going to be good.
For instance, if I said to the lady, on the I hate thing, I want to see your fingernails, please. I like ladies with blood red fingernails. Okay.
Blood red fingernails.
Yeah. I don't like...
Do you mean ones with nail varnish on?
Exactly, with nail varnish. I don't like ladies who chew their fingers, their fingernails even, and that would be an important aspect. I think a lady picking up a glass of champagne with elegant long red fingernails is a very attractive part of their personality.
It's very shallow, isn't it, Lisa?
No, I don't think it's shallow.
People like what they like. You're attracted to what you're attracted to.
Yeah.
So are you going to, are you going to long-term be attracted to a nail biter? Probably not, because that's going to be one of those little niggly things that just makes you crazy.
Yeah, but is any woman going to want to be walking around the house with her fingernails painted red 24 hours a day? Probably not.
Well, I don't know. I never leave the house without a pedicure. So
exactly.
There are definitely some women that like that, and maybe if she's a woman who likes lovely long purple fingernails or lovely long pink fingernails, maybe you adapt, not just red, and maybe sometimes she goes red for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's always that. I've got a much better idea for Porky, right? Yeah. There's a new device which is out there, which has been created at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and it's basically a watch, which is not actually a watch, but it's got loads of sensors in it, right? And it captures all sorts of physiological data while you're speaking to somebody across a dinner table or perhaps at an event or something like that. And it basically measures whether or not you are boring people and when it's time to shut up.
It's funny that this is created at MIT because you have a lot of really smart people there, and a lot of times really, really smart people are really terrible with social things.
They can be boring.
They can't. All of us can be boring. I mean, and we can be, someone who's really interesting to me might be completely boring to you or vice versa. So I think it's fascinating. Certainly any tool that helps you improve yourself is going to be a good thing. But I think that the best way to know whether or not you're boring people is to spend more time asking questions and less time talking about yourself. That's really just the
that's no use to you, is it? You like talking about yourself.
No, the point is, after half an hour, if I can't stimulate conversation from a lady which makes me feel interested in her, then that's it as far as I'm concerned. I'm not going to try
So you get up and walk out?
Well, I don't get up and walk out, but I sort of curtail whatever the medium-term plans were for that particular meeting. You see what I mean?
I got one here from Gary who's tweeted at the too much. He said, Porky has just matched himself with Dracula.
What? Is he mad? Yeah.
He doesn't like garlic either.
The blood red nails.
Yeah,
blood red fingernails, and he doesn't like garlic.
No, that's absolutely true. Don't. Yeah, it's true. Lisa, I'm sorry, you're not taking this seriously enough. Don't you understand that I have there are certain personality traits that are very important to me and my partner?
Exactly.
I do. I'm really giving this my best thought right now. Good. I'm going to come up with a blood red nail anti-garlic strategy.
Yes, please.
To be honest, Lisa, you've got much more in common with Porky than most women do. So you're already on a roll here. So just have to work on a couple more things. Paint your fingernails, and we'll talk to you soon.
That's right. You lucky lady.
I know. My heart is just fluttering away right now.
That's great. That's good to know.
On each of the questions that are going to come up, we've got loads of them on Facebook, and we've got a whole host of them as well on Twitter as well.
Yeah.
And so we're of course at the Two Mics, and the Facebook page is Twitter. Let's start with a very simple one.
Okay.
And it's from Don, who says, "Why is sea air good for you?"
Sea air is good for you because it doesn't have the impurities of air over the land. Now, let me tell you that I've been reading some stuff today saying that there are minute particles in most of the air in most cities in this country, which you can't see, which can't even be recorded actually by the most sophisticated machinery, because they are so thin. The only way we know about them is that dead bodies, which have been examined afterwards, lungs and that kind of stuff, do have a collection of these particles. That doesn't happen at sea. The wind at sea comes over the sea. It doesn't carry industrial waste or belching.
Unless you're on a cruise ship, of course.
Belching chimney smoke or anything like that. And that's why you get a completely different sensation breathing air from the sea on the coast than you do from the city. And I know that for a fact because I live in both places.
Sean in Wallasey says this on Facebook. Is Trainspotting 2 worth watching, Porky? I've seen the first one, but thought I should ask the best reviewer after listening to Porky Vision.
I didn't see Trainspotting the first time. I'm sorry. I don't really know what it's about. I think it was about some sort of drug scene and all that kind of stuff, young people in Edinburgh, but it put me off when I saw a trailer in which some bloke disappeared down a loo or his head shot out of a loo or something like that, and I don't like lavatorial stuff, so I never watched it, and I won't be watching the second, and I didn't think that Ewan McGregor guy who's in it was very impressive on the Piers Morgan show.
OK, here's one from Josh. He says, "Me and my missus are going on an all-inclusive holiday in May, and we're taking our daughter, who will be 10 months old. How do we work out the bladderation order so that there's always one of us sober to look after our daughter?"
Well, I think if you take your 10-year-old daughter on holiday with you, you should put all thoughts of bladderation behind you. In my view, your main priority there is going to be the safety and the security of your family, and that obviously includes your 10-month-old daughter. However, if you have decided that you want to mix a bit of family life with a bit of bladderation, which does not make you a bad person, then you should have planned your holiday to go to somewhere where there are first-class babysitting facilities. No good going on the bladderation trail with a bunch of other blokes around on holiday. You want to do it with your wife, so you have to make sure, very, very sure, safe and secure provisions for your daughter.
Matty says this: "How's the iron ore situation going, Porky?"
Well, the iron ore situation changes on a daily basis. For instance, another resource in the world, oil, although the price of petrol is going up at the moment per litre, it will be going down again this time next year because there are surplus amounts of oil. It's the same with iron ore. If China starts building, iron ore price goes up because it becomes in demand, and if China stops building, it goes down. At the moment, it's between the two.
It's one from Natasha. She says, "What can I do about my ex-boyfriend? He's always trying to rekindle our relationship because he wants something, and he's usually just trying to either get a reaction from me or some kind of horizontal refreshment."
What you do in a situation like that is totally ignore. You have to totally ignore. I know that immature people do provocative things to try and get a reaction. And when matters of the heart are involved, people do lose a lot of rational sense and resort to that sort of thing. He just wants you to make sure that you're still noticing him, that you're still aware of him, that there may be a possibility of some revival of the relationship later. The only way to snuff it out, like putting your hand over a candle when you've licked your finger and your thumb on your tongue to extinguish that flame, is to do just that. Ignore everything.
Pierre says this: "My wife is cross as I often ask you for advice instead of her. Can you give me some advice about this?"
Yes, what I would say is that you have to explain to your wife that I have had a long, eventful life in which I've come across many situations. I'm therefore in a position to help. Your wife is no doubt a lovely woman and a very good lady, but can't possibly have the sort of life experience of the Porkmeister. That's all you need to say.
Now, this is an interesting one. Steve says, "Could you ask Porky when are his pork scratchings coming out, or are these his?" And he's shown me a picture of some called the Porky Crunch, which I don't believe are yours.
Yes.
I don't think they are yours, he says, as they're only 20 pence a bag.
OK. The Porky Scratchings, I can tell you, launch on March the... let me get this right, 10th. March the 10th in Wigan. Let me get that right, because Everton play on the 5th. It's the 12th the next Sunday. Yes, it is definitely the 10th. Friday, March the 10th in Wigan at Harry's Bar, which is the centre of the World Pie Eating Championships on an annual basis. Yes, it's true. Right. It's a wonderful place.
Okay.
Will be the location for the launch of Porky Scratchings at 5:30 on that day. There are big events coming up with the two mics. That's the Porky Scratchings. As I've already explained, our week on Saturday, February the 18th, we launched the new two mics website.
Now, this one is obviously referring to this week's news from Kelly. Should former England and Manchester United captain Brian Robson receive a knighthood?
No, I don't think so, necessarily. I think Brian Robson already has an award, either an OB or an MB or something like that, and I think that's sufficient. He was a great player, had a great career, and a great leader of men, according to any professionals that you speak to. But at the end of the day, he didn't win the World Cup, and I think it was only towards the end of his career he won his first title with Manchester United, I think, in his last season. A great career, but not a knighthood career.
OK. Here's one from Brett. It says, why is there a TV watershed but not a radio equivalent? He says, I would love to hear you two effing and jeffing at each other.
Well, to be honest, I think that the way we conduct our shows when we're doing these sort of hours is a lot looser than shows we do during the day. And that is for a reason. And one of the reasons is that an awful lot of people download this podcast on the basis that it is a bit raunchier than a daytime show, and that's the licence we have on a 24-hour schedule.
Although we do, of course, have a lot of children who listen to us as well.
We do, and we respect that. We respect that.
Mark says this, what's the best can opener on the market?
I wouldn't know, because what I do is, most of the cans that I buy these days, for some unknown reason, have a ring pull in it.
Oh, yes.
So you don't need to worry. But if I need to open a can, the one I prefer is what I call the horizontal can opener, which...
Horizontal?
Yes, the horizontal, which takes the lid off the can.
Yes.
It doesn't cut down into it, if you see what I mean.
OK.
Yeah.
Paul says this, Porky, I really fancy a woman at work, but I'm struggling to find a way in. Should I A, stalk her, B, hack her emails and Facebook, or C, choose a married woman as they're more desperate and grateful? That's a dreadful question.
Yeah, dreadful question. The first two don't do because they're antisocial and possibly criminal. The third one is...
Possibly criminal.
Yeah, well, they are, aren't they? You know, around hacking people's phones and all that kind of stuff. The third one, all I can say is, don't get into any desperation stakes. Don't think, oh, that woman's married, therefore she's probably got a boring life at home with a boring husband. That's completely untrue. A lot of marriages are very happy, some aren't. But the only way you find out about that is to just, merge into social situations at work, like a leaving do, or like a Christmas party, or like somebody's birthday celebration in a pub after work, and then the situations regarding your work colleagues will emerge.
Pete says this, if you could have one thing back, wouldn't choose one from these four, the Lost Everton programmes, the Lost 12,000 quid, the Vauxhall Viva or Costello's?
Well, Lost Everton programmes very dear to me, and every day I sort of reflect on the fact I'll never get those back. I wouldn't yearn back for Costello's. That was a period of my life with my colleague here, MG, which was brilliant and fantastic, but it's not of the time anymore. It was of the time then. It was a bit of a grubby old bar, really, when you think about it.
But very historic.
Very historic indeed. And
James Thurber on the wall.
James Thurber on the walls and all that kind of stuff. So it'd have to be the Everton programmes.
Sean says this, Porky, what's the earliest time being socially acceptable to begin bladderation, in moderation, of course, if it's at the airport? Surely no morals apply. 9 a.m, for example, is OK, isn't it?
9 a.m's late. I was going off somewhere once from London City, and I can't remember who it was. My flight was 7:30.
Was it Mallorca, maybe?
It might have been. Yeah, it might have been, yeah. And I got there at 4:30, and everybody was drinking pints of lager. And the bars just never close. Just never close. So no time's too early, providing you haven't got responsibilities later in the day which would make you inefficient through bladderation. But if you're flying off on holiday, I think that's quite acceptable.
Obviously not if you're driving as well.
No, of course not.
Man says this, if you were an alcoholic beverage, which one would it be and why?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I'd probably be a Southern Comfort.
Would you?
Rich, smooth, not too bitter. Looks good when poured over ice, i.e. for that icy interior. Yeah, I'd say a Southern Comfort.
OK. From Steptoe, what's more important, good looks or money?
Money, because I think money's the most important thing in life. If you are ugly and have money, you'll have a better life than being good-looking and poor. It's as simple as that.
OK. Zach says this, I've almost finished my law degree at the University of the Trent. I need to apply for jobs, but I don't want to do law. And he says, help.
Well, look, you've got to sort that out for yourself. I don't know why you bother doing law if you don't want to do law. Law's a specialist subject. I mean, some people go to university and do things like history, and they do things like English. They don't necessarily want to be an English teacher or an historian. But when you do law, that's a very, very specific discipline. So I'm amazed that you don't want to do law. And to be honest, when you've got a law degree, there's very few other things you're qualified to do.
Mr. A. Evans, and this comes actually with a graphic which I'm not going to show you, but it basically shows that the record currently of Jurgen Klopp is exactly identical to the record of Brendan Rodgers at Liverpool.
Yeah.
And he says, what would Brendan make of this particular set of statistics?
Yeah.
Does it show he was unfairly treated? Could you please enlighten us, wise one?
Well, I don't think Jurgen Klopp's been a great international manager, a great manager internationally in terms of different leagues that he's worked in and working for the US national team. So it doesn't surprise me at all. Brendan Rodgers was the luckiest or the unluckiest manager in the history of the Premier League because he inherited a team that very, very nearly won the Premier League, particularly because of Luis Suarez having a gem of a player, probably the world's best forward at that time. And to not have won it is actually it's the lost break of his life because he's never going to win it again with anybody else. And so he was either unluckiest or luckiest. Make your mind up.
Refined says this, and this is the final one. If there was to be a rebooted version of either Rising Damp, Alan Partridge or On the Buses, which would Porky prefer to be in?
On the buses,
really,
because I think historically it was such good, clean fun, and didn't harm anybody, and starred the brilliant Reg Varney.
Yes, okay.
Yep.
Well, that was Ask Porky. Tremendous questions. We got loads more that we never got to, so apologies if we didn't actually get to one of yours. But keep sending them in for the same time next week, of course, and we will address more of your problems, more of your dilemmas, and all of that.
Used to do
And that is a lovely song, isn't it?
Who's that?
Have a guess.
It sounds a bit like Blur.
Does it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I suppose some might say that's not a million miles away. It's
Yeah.
called Radiohead.
Radiohead.
Yeah.
I thought they were a bit more electric.
Radiohead?
Yeah.
Well, that's an electric song, if you like. They do some acoustic stuff as well.
I've got the best of Radiohead, but I've never taken it out the cellophane. Is it worth taking out the cellophane?
Oh, very much so.
Is it?
Why haven't you got it out of the cellophane?
Well, I haven't played it yet.
What is it, a CD?
Yes, a CD.
Put it in the car. Because cars like
Could put
yours
it
have
in the
still
car.
got CD players, haven't they?
Yeah,
Old cars
mine
like
has.
yours.
Mine has, yeah. Well, yours has as well.
No, it hasn't.
It has.
No.
It has.
No, it hasn't.
So how do you play your in... it's got to be in a podcast, is it, or something?
Well, I play everything by Bluetooth.
Bluetooth,
Off
right.
my various devices.
I see, OK, yeah. Well, that's fair enough if you want to do that.
Now, how about this from Becky?
Okay.
Which says, ear surgery is known in medical terms as otoplasty. Porky, you need to add this to your vocabulary.
Otoplasty.
Otoplasty. O-T-O-plasty.
Very interesting.
Scott says, Porky's impression of Cliff Barnes sounds more like Top Cat.
No, he didn't. No.
And Paul says, why has Porky made JR sound Irish?
No, JR's not Irish.
And G. O'Hara says, Cliff Barnes sounds like Sergeant Bilko, Porky.
Sergeant Bilko, I don't think so. I thought it was quite good of Cliff Barnes.
No, I didn't. I don't want to hear it anymore.
JR, once again, you've ruined my life.
I see.
Now,
Frankie's posted a very nice picture from Hong Kong.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's travelling on the bus listening to our show. Isn't that amazing? That you can listen to a radio show from here in Hong Kong.
Absolutely brilliant. Well done. What's the chap's name?
Frankie.
He's listening live.
He's
now.
listening live,
So if we say, Frankie, how are you doing, pal?
Yeah.
Have a Hong Kong burger on me.
Hong Kong burger?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
It's a Hong Kong burger.
Well, it'd be, the local delicacy, wouldn't it?
Have you ever been to Hong Kong?
I haven't, actually.
No?
It's one of the few places in the world I haven't.
Is it somewhere you'd like to go?
Yeah, I think so.
We should go do a show there.
Yeah, maybe.
There's plenty of our fans there.
On the way to Sydney. We're
Yeah,
negotiating
possibly.
with the Sydney Opera House at the moment, by the way, for November.
Yeah, Jay says this. Why do you have experts on with a plank knows everything? It's a good question.
Well, that's a bit harsh. Listen, talking about knowing
did
everything.
call her Doc, by the way, at the end.
Talking about knowing everything. How long have I been warning about the fact that streets will get flooded if people continue to pave over their gardens to park their cars?
Yeah, this is in the same breath as when you said you didn't think that planning permission and red tape was necessary, particularly when it came to questions about making sure that flooding was not going to be an issue.
Now, this is completely different.
How is it different?
Because they're new developments that I've been talking about with Redrow.
Yeah, but do you know what?
These are established homes, part of the ecological system.
But one of the reasons that places flood
Yes.
is that if you alter the general sort of, architecture of the land, i.e. you put houses where there used to be fields, then the course of the water changes.
Yeah, but you're only bitter because you stupidly bought a house
Not
on a
true.
floodplain that flooded the kitchen
Not
every
true. I didn't buy. I did not buy a house on a floodplain actually, but what I did do was buy a house in a very low-lying part of a village.
Exactly.
But the whole village was flooded, and one of the reasons the whole village was flooded was not just of the complete and utter, maniacal rain that fell in that particular year, but because the farmer had completely ploughed a field behind where my house was.
Yes.
Where before it used to have very, very long wheat-like grass in it.
That's right, and trees and things have all been knocked down.
And everything got knocked down, so it ran off the ploughed field as if it was cement.
That's right. Well, listen, let me tell you this now. Local authorities now are going to stop people turning their front gardens into parking spaces because it will literally lead to huge flooded roads.
Now, on the other hand, I might take issue with the councils on this one, though, because they're probably more keen on giving people not giving them the opportunity to actually park for free.
Yes.
They want them presumably to park on the street so that they can charge them.
Yeah, well, that's absolutely right.
I bet that's their ulterior motive.
It is absolutely right. If somebody's got to park £6 a day, pay £6 a day,
or buy a residence parking permit.
Yeah, buy a residence parking permit. They just knock it down. But do you know what the second factor is?
What is?
I mean, we've gone over this before about people trying to avoid parking charges by concreting over their garden and making themselves a private parking slot. But what it is now is, the drive for, when you sort all your rubbish out into different bins and all that.
What, recycling?
Recycling.
Yeah.
People find the bins now so obtrusive, they are literally paving over their gardens and cementing their gardens as a depository for the bins. There's so many of them.
Yeah.
So it's not car parking anymore. It's the recycling is leading to a flooded world.
Well, some of the houses opposite where I live, which are council houses, right? But they're little sort of small, what you would call, I suppose, 2 up, 2 down type houses, right?
Yeah.
They've got tiny little front gardens, and they've now each got 3 massive bins.
That's right.
Which pretty much takes up the whole of the pathway to the door.
It does.
There's nowhere else to put them.
It does. I totally agree. There's one particular development in Leeds where over the last 30 years, 12% more rainwater now runs into the drains as a result of successive parts of gardens, because this is what people do. They just concrete an area big enough for their bins to take the bins.
But it may well have, I mean, as much as I'm saying I'm not in favour of the council making people not do that, but if they do it, it is possible that it could cause more flooding. That's the problem.
Well, it says here, the vanishing front garden is now a national crisis. This is from one of my journals on local authority planning, OK?
Yeah.
5 million gardens have been completely paved over in the last 4 decades. That's 1 in 4 of the total number of gardens we have in this country.
Does it say where it's happening most?
It's happening everywhere. The rate of loss is staggering. In 10 years, there was a 3-fold increase in the number of paved gardens, a total of 15 square miles. Get that?
15 square miles.
So that's an area... So walk 5 miles in that direction, then turn right and walk 3 miles.
Yes.
And the whole of that area is now concrete.
Well, the whole of that area is squared, basically.
That's what I mean.
That's a massive area.
It's a massive area.
So if you walked 5 miles from here, north, say, for example, you would probably get to somewhere like Hampstead.
That's Hampstead.
And then if you turn
right and walk 3 miles.
3 miles to the east, you'd probably get over to somewhere like Hackney.
Well, down the North Circular Road or something. You're absolutely right.
Over that way, and then all the way back down to sort of Canary Wharf.
And that's all been concreted over.
And then back across to here. My goodness me.
That's right.
Well, that must have an effect on the environment.
Right. To add to the threat of flooding, rainfall is more intense in shorter bursts than it was in the 60s and the 70s. Truly big downpours about once every 125 days are now happening on average, okay? So you put all these figures together and you've got the perfect storm for flooding. The latest regulations...
You're going to get a higher flat. By the sounds of things.
Yes, that's right.
Belt,
that's right. That's right.
Hey, did you see that story, by the way, from Stockbroker Belt of some guy who got arrested in a Wetherspoons for refusing to leave and started punching the police and everything? Sounds very rough down there. Very rough down there where you are.
Well, it might not have been in my part of Stockbroker Belt.
Well, it was, It was somewhere very close to you. Much. It was. It was a Wetherspoons very near where you are.
I doubt it very much.
Well, I'll show you the story.
Now, what's happening is, fortunately, local authorities are now getting onto it. They've been listening to me. And it means that new rules are to be introduced, which means that even if you do get permission to pave over your garden, which they're going to try and reject, you've got to use well-drained gravel, porous block paving, permeable asphalt.
Very good.
Or you have to introduce into it a fast-draining system, i.e., in the middle, a drain with a chamber underneath to take the rainwater.
Well, where does it go, though, after it goes in there?
Well, it soaks out then through that chamber. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. Right. And rather than being concrete, it goes into
So you
soil.
don't have to connect it to the street drain?
No.
In some way, shape or form.
Latest regulations mean planning permission is needed to pave over front gardens.
Well, what about your roof garden? How do you drain that?
Well, it's on a slope and it drains into a gutter, which then runs into a pipe down into a...
so you're actually contributing to the flooding as well?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
No, it goes into a water butt and then it's recycled.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
By whom?
The system in the building.
The system?
Yes.
Well, how do you know it's recycled? Who empties it?
What do you mean, who empties it? Nobody empties it.
Well, it's magically recycled from the water bird, is it?
No, it's used to water the grounds.
The grounds?
Yes.
So there's a gardener?
Right. Absolutely.
So he uses that water regularly, does he?
Absolutely.
You sure about that?
Oh, I'm absolutely certain about it.
Do you have any idea how much water you produce from your roof garden on an annual basis?
Quite a lot, I have to say, quite a lot. And by the way, I've come
That's why you don't ask for it back.
Come up with a new brilliant idea.
Have you?
I put... because the heavier birds were starting to land on my bird bath, and on one occasion knocked it down.
What, a bird knocked over your bird bath?
Yeah.
What was it, a vulture?
No, it was a wood pigeon.
A wood pigeon knocked it over?
Yeah.
What was it made of? Plastic?
No, it was at a time when all the water had evaporated, so there was no water to bed it down.
Haven't you got imagine it made of stone?
No, it's metal.
Oh, it's metal?
Oh, it's metal, yeah.
Oh, so it's actually a pretty cheap one then?
No, it's not. It's a very expensive one.
No, it's not.
It's very expensive.
If it can be knocked over by a pigeon, it is a cheap piece of tat.
No. What happened
like
was
everything else in
the wood pigeon landed on one side of it, and as I say, it was in the summer when the water had evaporated, and bang, it went. But now I've got over that by lining the bottom of it with gravel. So it looks actually quite aesthetically beautiful now.
Oh, really?
I have to say, yeah.
I don't think I've seen anything in your place that looks aesthetically beautiful.
Well, you haven't been looking hard enough. So, listen, I'm on top of that one. Because,
PJB says there's no such thing as the best of Radiohead. I'm not sure he's entirely correct about that.
Oh, isn't there? No, I've got one.
Well, how do you know?
Eh?
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I've definitely got one,
I think there is one, actually.
Yes.
Jay says this, how about the council use our hard-earned money to replace the Victorian sewer system to cope with the rain? Well, do you remember when you were in Los Angeles? They have those great big storm drains.
Yes.
And I don't understand.
There's never any water in them.
Well, there is water in them when there's flooding because everything feeds in there.
Yeah, but normally speaking, they're empty because Arnold Schwarzenegger's usually roaring along them in a car, isn't he? Chasing villains or escaping from them.
No.
He is.
No, that's just in the Terminator film.
That's what I'm saying.
It's only one film.
Yeah, well...
But he's not always in there.
Yeah.
I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger did not spend his life going in and out of the storm drains in a truck.
Well, it seems like it. It seems like he has.
How about this one from somebody called D? Porky wants to pay less tax 1 minute and the next he wants more space projects. Hashtag magic wand.
Hey, listen, by the way, have you seen...
You're not listening to that?
Yes, I did, yes. Yes, it's very good, thank you.
A couple of people as well were listening. Ben's listening from Singapore.
Yeah.
And we've got somebody listening from Sydney as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. We love you all.
Yeah.
We are a global...
What have you turned into that woman who's come out at the end of Morecambe and Wise? We love you all.
We love you all. Global network.
Yeah.
Listen, when was the last time you saw, one of these daft ceremonies where people who you work with come and leave a cake in the kitchen because it's their birthday or something?
Well, it happens here quite a lot. But
I know it does,
I don't remember the last time I was here when somebody brought a cake in.
Have you ever brought a cake in?
Hey?
Have you ever brought a cake in?
No.
No, I have neither.
I don't think
Wouldn't
so.
bother.
Although I have occasionally brought a cake bits of a cake from home if it was one of my kids' birthdays or if there was a bit of a cake going.
Yes. Anyway.
And because some people actually quite like having a bit of cake.
Anyway, you'll be delighted to know the Treasury have now banned any bringing in cakes.
What's it got to do with them?
Well, they say the workers are getting too fat.
What?
And the office cake culture has got to be ended. It's a public health hazard.
Well, I mean, people are overweight for many reasons.
Yeah, but
what's
one
it
of
got
them
to
is
do with the government?
Well, I don't know.
Why don't they get stuffed?
As
it were.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I do find it a completely unnecessary...
Well, hang on, you brought me a bar of chocolate earlier.
Yeah, I brought you a bar of chocolate. That's for you personally. The trouble is when you leave a blinking
what do you
cake
mean for
in
me
the kitchen...
Personally?
But because it's for you personally, the chocolate. When you leave a cake in there, people cut bits, drop it on the floor, it makes a mess. I would ban all cake in offices, full
When you
stop.
were the boss here...
In fact, I'd like to ban eating in offices, to be honest.
Well, you'd prefer people to go out?
No, I'd prefer people just not to eat.
Just not to eat?
Yeah.
I mean, you should be running like some kind of a camp.
No.
Not an actual office of any kind.
Not me.
You are absolutely and utterly ludicrous.
Not me.
Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Way out in the water, see it swimming.
Jason says this: wet lead is a term used in the pub trade. Typical Porky's obsessed with bladderation.
Yeah, I am obsessed with wet lead.
Wet lead.
What's that? What's that in the pub trade?
Well, I don't know what it is in the pub trade,
No.
but I've certainly never heard it in use.
I do.
I've heard hot metal,
No.
and I've heard hot lead. I've never heard wet lead.
I've heard wet lead. It was literally a pool of wet lead that they had in their cups on the typographical machines, which was the keys dipped into and then forged the character on the form,
Are you
so
sure?
to speak. Yeah. Listen, there's one here. Have you ever heard that expression, damned by faint praise?
I have heard that expression. Yeah.
This is from a guy called
Richard. It's very rarely
Richard.
happened to me, by the way.
A guy called Richard, who must be a bit of a half-baked, because he says, it's a joy listening to the two mics, because both are actually quite intelligent.
Oh, yeah.
But old MG is the most intelligent, but Porky's not far off.
Oh, right. Well, thank you very much indeed, Richard.
Yeah. Well, he's got that all wrong.
Well, he's clearly a very perspicacious man.
Now,
But, what can I say?
Now, some guy called Moz. We always have a laugh at the name Moz, don't we?
We do.
Is that Morris?
Morris, short for Morris.
Yeah.
As far as I know.
What if he's Irish?
He could be. I don't know.
It's
I don't think
very Irish name, I think.
it could be. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Anyway, I always find people with the name Moz a bit strange.
Do you?
Know? But anyway, that's to call yourself Moz. But anyway, there you go. Anyway, he says, can you ask Porky if he's seen a film called Lawless?
Yeah.
Just watched it again tonight. Terrific. Now, I don't know a film
Have you
called
seen
Lawless.
a film called Lawless?
No.
No, neither have I.
Who's in it?
I remember
That's what
Chris
wanna know.
Lawless used to play for Liverpool.
Lawler.
Yes, I know.
Lawler. In fact, him and Jerry Byrne played in the 1965 Cup final. Jerry Byrne was left back, and he played.
Before Alec Lindsay?
Uh,
Alec Lindsay was the left back against Chris Lawler's right back, wasn't he?
Alex Lindsay inherited it, but it was Jerry Byrne first.
Was it?
I'm not sure. Was Jerry Byrne the right back or the left back? Anyway, whatever. He played half of the Cup final in 1965 with a broken collarbone.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now
Fascinating. You know that your favourite actor is in Lawless?
Say again?
Your favourite actor is in Lawless?
Clint Eastwood?
No.
Who?
Well, who's your favourite actor at the moment?
Al Pacino?
No.
Johnny Depp?
No. Somebody who figures on Porky Vision quite a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Porky Vision.
Remember Porky Vision?
Okay.
You do it every Wednesday.
Okay. Is it Kieran?
Kieran?
No, not Kieran. Is it Cillian?
Cillian?
I'm talking about Peaky
You mean
Blinders.
Cillian Murphy?
Cillian Murphy?
No.
It's not Cillian Murphy.
No.
Right. Well, I don't know who else.
It's Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy, right,
The
okay.
guy from Taboo.
Oh, by the way, well, I know it's not Porky Vision time.
Yeah,
but
thank goodness for that.
I saw the latest episode of that in the last couple of days, and I have to say, there is some extreme violence in that show.
Is there?
Mixed with extreme Rogerisation.
Yeah, well, you've already talked about nothing but the Rogerisation of the show. I think we should move on from that.
Anyway, listen, so I've got one here from Luxury Lizzie.
Yeah.
She's a regular correspondent, so it's only fair that we occasionally read out. She says... Porky, you can show you have empathy by wishing me well soon. Not sure of the cost. Checks in the post was a 999 moment.
Oh, really?
I hope this doesn't mean that
she has to call the emergency services.
Call the emergency services.
Let's hope not.
The only emergency services that you should really need, Lizzie, is another bottle of champagne delivered to your room.
Well, that's not very wise if she's not well.
Well, no, but it makes you feel better, doesn't it?
Well, not if you're on the brink of death.
Yeah, well, that's absolutely
How about
true.
this from Pascal? Porky
Yes.
must have saved a fortune over the years on PR because his own self-promotion breaks the mould.
Self-promotion? What's
Yeah.
that about? I don't know anything about
Well, self-promotion is when you talk yourself up and when
Oh,
you
I
big
see.
yourself up and put yourself at the centre of everything.
Right, move
and
on
make
up, you
out,
mean.
make it out that you're,
Move
you know,
on up.
as famous as people like Princess Diana, or indeed Jimmy Carter or Barack Obama, or any of the other people, Pippa Middleton, or any of the other people that have been invited to Richard Branson's island.
Right, now when do we talk to young Steve Nichols?
Steve Nichols we're talking to in about 10 minutes' time.
Right, OK, that's great, because I want to tell you something, you see.
Yeah.
If the FMP list was still open...
Yeah, which is not, right?
The FMP list is the first Mrs.
Is it
Parry.
now closed?
It is closed because...
You've gone very quiet about the mystery woman from the Mallorcan flight.
No, not
What's
at
happened
all.
about that?
Not at all. I don't wish to divulge, great details of my
Well,
private
are you willing
life.
to answer any questions about it?
No,
Why?
not really. Well,
Why not?
Why should I?
Well, because people want to know.
Well, there are
you
certain
are a
things-
man of the people, self-proclaimed.
By the way, have you seen...
people like to know what you're up to.
Have you seen all this talk that Tom Jones is actually going out with Elvis's widow?
I did see that
Priscilla
yesterday.
Presley.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, so did I, and it seems to be building up because there's a picture of the two of them on the front of one of tomorrow morning's national newspapers. Tom Jones is dating Elvis's wife Priscilla. Is that unusual? And like you, I thought, well, hang on, I think I first came across this a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
But there's a classic picture which every time this story's printed, they show, and it's Tom Jones with Elvis Presley and wife Priscilla in the middle.
Uh-huh.
So,
Is this from many, many years ago?
It's from the 60s
Right.
when they all lived in Beverly Hills together,
Yes.
you know. So Tom Jones yesterday revealed he is dating the former wife of Elvis Presley, 76-year-old Welsh star who was left devastated when his wife of 59 years, Linda, died of cancer last year.
Right.
Very sad, that.
Yeah.
Seeking support from Priscilla. Now, the only thing I would say, right, and this is merely an observation, I
Yes.
have no exact information.
Is this going to be another example of your empathy?
This will be my empathy.
Yeah.
Tom Jones is 76, but doesn't look anything like 76. He looks more like, I would say, 66 or 56.
Yeah.
Priscilla...
Well, he looks a bit older than me.
He looks a bit older than you, that's true. Priscilla is 71.
Yes.
Now, I'm not being unkind in saying that, generally speaking, Tom Jones romances ladies a lot younger than 71, doesn't he?
But Priscilla Presley is a pretty glamorous woman at whatever age she is.
A beautiful woman, I totally agree, but she's still 71.
So?
And,
But what age is he?
76.
76. So what's wrong with going out with a woman 5 years younger than him?
Well, normally speaking, if you're one of the world's most famous showmen and singers, Tom Jones, and you're 76, you would normally be romancing and associating with ladies in their sort of, I don't know, 30s, 40s, something like that.
Why would
well,
you?
because a lot of people do.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
Jimmy Page's girlfriend is about half his age, isn't he? And
you're thinking of Ronnie Wood as well, aren't you?
Ronnie Wood has had children with a lady, I think, in her 30s. Jimmy Page's girlfriend is about half his age.
Mick Jagger.
Mick Jagger has a section of girlfriends who are all in their 30s and that kind of stuff. So all I'm saying is, I would say...
I think you're being very judgmental about Priscilla Presley.
No, I'm being
if Priscilla
judgmental.
Presley came knocking on your door, I don't think you'd keep it closed for long, would you?
Well, I thought she was brilliant in Dallas.
Did you?
In Dallas. She was Barbie's girlfriend.
Yeah. That was a long time ago.
Oh, Barbie. That was 30 years ago. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, I believe that they could be long-standing friends if they've known each other since... Hey, listen, what about this? What about this as a thought?
Yeah.
So Tom Jones and Elvis Presley and Priscilla Presley all knocking around in Beverly Hills together in, the 60s.
What are you
70s.
Suggesting?
Well, they all must have become very good friends in those days.
What do you mean?
Well, very close friends, you know.
What do you mean by what? You're suggesting they're in some kind of menage a trois?
No. How dare you?
What a ridiculous idea that is.
So smutty.
What a ridiculous idea. Have you suddenly become obsessed with the other people's sex lives?
No.
You do nothing but talk about sex on television.
No.
Now all you want to talk about is whether Tom Jones, Priscilla Presley and Elvis
she's a very glamorous woman.
went into bed together.
Anyway, listen, what I was going to tell you about was, I said that if the FMP, the first Mrs. Parry list, was still open...
Yeah, and you're saying it's not, right?
It's not, because, I mean, I'm of an age now where I'm settled.
So you're not interested in other women, then?
Yes, I am, but I mean, not in the sense that I would encourage...
Not for any longer than a couple of hours.
Well, no, not that I would encourage anybody to believe that they were at the top of the FMP list, i.e. it was going to become a permanent thing. However, if there was a list, you know who would be top of it?
Who?
I'll tell you, it would be...
would it be Tamara Eccleston?
No, it would be... I can't remember her surname is now.
That's not going to go well, is it?
Yes, Holly Willoughby.
Holly Willoughby?
Holly Willoughby.
She's a very glamorous woman.
Now, do you know why?
I told you I saw her on the station platform once at London Bridge.
Did you?
Wearing a pair of very, very high heels.
And did you say hello to her?
No, because she was with a very short bloke.
Oh, I see.
Who was about 2 feet shorter than her.
Right.
Who I took to be some kind of agent.
Right.
Because I was able to hear some of their conversation.
Okay.
Which was all about, different people and the business and all that. And she was wearing those Louboutins, the shoes that have got the red soles.
I certainly do.
I told you, because the train stopped especially for her. At a stop that wasn't normally on the timetable.
Brilliant.
And she got off.
Right. Now, shall I tell you why I'm very impressed with this lady?
Why?
It has just been revealed she has a personal fortune of £11 million.
She's very wealthy.
I mean, this is fantastic.
But her husband is also very wealthy.
Yeah.
I think that together they run some business as well, don't they, on the side?
Well, what I'm saying is, I mean, she is married now.
Well, she's too rich for you, though, because you don't like women being richer than you, do you?
Well, I think rich women are fantastic, very successful.
Yeah, you don't like ones that are richer than you.
Eh?
You don't like women who are richer than you, though, do
you? No, I'm not saying that. But anyway, I'm just going to run through what she's into, right?
Yeah,
First of all, she has this great ITV job, doesn't she?
She
with
does.
Philip Schofield.
That's right.
People reckon that's maybe about an earner for about $500,000 a year or something
Easily,
like that.
yeah,
Very
easily.
good. She then she has an ITV Meet the Parents dating show.
Oh, yes, I saw a clip from that the other day.
Is that right?
Yeah, it looks pretty horrendous, but I'm sure it'll be quite well paying.
Well, the first series apparently was successful, and now there's another one coming.
Yeah.
And she gets about 120,000 a series for that. That's excellent.
Right.
As you quite rightly say, she has been team captain in Celebrity Juice comedy panel
Yes.
show hosted by Keith Lemon.
That's right.
Since 2007.
Yeah.
And that is produced by her husband, Dan Baldwin.
Right.
And has grown in popularity over 16 series.
Okay.
She is a director of 2 companies, with a third, Peaches Productions Limited.
Right.
She is also she's got all sorts of publications, adverts for Oral-B toothpaste, the Holly Look for Your Home.
She's just brought a book out as well, I think.
She's just brought a book out, The Willoughby Way with Babies,
Yeah.
another publication. I mean, this is a very successful woman.
Way too
very,
successful for
very
you. But you wouldn't like being in
woman.
her company, so, I mean, much as she would probably be honoured that she's on the FMP list,
yeah.
I don't think she'll be taking you up on the offer.
What?
I don't think so.
Why not?
Well, because, 1, you don't like women who are more successful than you.
Oh, I
2,
do
you don't
like
like women who
successful
make
women.
more money than you.
Like rich
and
women.
3, she is married, which is about the only reason that you might end up getting with her.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. She's a woman. She's a woman of perfect virtue.
Well, have a look at the Tamara
How dare you.
Eccleston picture and
How
tell
dare
me
you.
what you think about that. We are the 2 Mics. We've just carried out what can only be described as a groundbreaking and incredibly technologically complicated test of Facebook Live.
That's right.
So far, it seems to be working.
It worked.
So
it's going to be great.
It's going to be very exciting.
Hey, we're looking
I mean, there's
forward to
nothing
this.
Porky likes more than being on camera. So please don't try and ham it up, okay? Because you're going to be on camera for 2 events.
Yes,
One, the Porky quiz, but before that, Postman Pork.
Yes.
Where you open all the letters and gifts that you've received over the
Secure
course of the
them,
last 7 days.
Yeah.
So we will, of course, post a link to that when it is live. But if you haven't found us yet on Facebook, go to Facebook and just look for the 2 Mics and you'll see it on there when it appears. If you can't follow us on Facebook Live, don't worry, because what we will do is at the end of the event, I believe we will post it and we should be able to provide a link so that you can watch it later.
Indeed.
So it's all happening.
We're all very
We are,
pleased.
as Harold Wilson would have said, at the white-hot edge of the technological revolution.
We certainly are. Who said that?
Right, Harold Wilson.
I think it was James Callaghan, actually.
Oh, I think it was Harold Wilson.
Was it? Okay, I thought it was Jim Callaghan's successor.
No, it was Harold Wilson in the 60s.
Yeah, Harold.
Because that was when he called it the white-hot technological revolution.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, not the wet lead one, by the way.
That's right. He quit very suddenly, didn't he? And
Who?
nobody's ever found out why.
Who, Wilson?
Harold Wilson, yeah.
Was it not something to do with that guy with the Macintoshes?
No, I don't think so. Lord Kagan.
Lord Kagan,
He
that
went
was
to
him,
jail. Yeah.
That was the guy, yeah.
It wasn't him. He was from Yorkshire, as was Harold Wilson, of course, because Harold Wilson he went to Huddersfield Grammar School, and it's not the pound in your pocket, holding his pipe like this.
Yes.
Not the pound in your pocket that matters. Of course, the pound in your pocket doesn't get devalued. No, it does. Everything goes up in price. Right, now then.
Oh, look, there's another picture of you with a sky blue shirt on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, people are just picking these out of the old frame, aren't they? And trying to make a point.
Now, another Man United fan, Krunal, says Louis van Gaal finished 4th in his first season. That's how Man United had Champions League football after Fergie. Well, that wasn't in the first season after he left them, was it?
No,
that was in the second season.
Yeah, it was, yeah. David Moyes, unfortunately, wasn't able to achieve
And they
it.
got knocked out in the group stages, as Folger points out.
Yes.
Yes.
Have I told you about the latest craze for plastic surgery?
Plastic surgery? No.
People are getting it done on their earlobes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you know, I didn't meet, but I had to spend quite a lot of time with a woman in New York once. I was doing an article for a magazine.
Right.
And it was all about how much plastic surgery she had had.
Right.
And she had done it on her earlobes because she wore these incredibly big earrings.
Well,
which had made her earlobes kind of droop down like a spaniel.
No, it's absolutely right.
You know?
It's only since about the 70s, apparently, or the 80s, that women were able to be liberated by pierced ears.
Right.
And initially, they just put
Are you
in...
sure?
I'm certain.
Are you sure about
I'm certain
that?
I know this. Before
No,
that...
that's not true.
No, it is true, Mike.
Because people in countries other than Britain
Yeah.
have been piercing their children's ears for years, and
Well,
in fact,
maybe.
piercings were very popular during ancient Egyptian times.
Yeah, well, maybe. But what I'm saying is this. In those days, all they put in, it was a stud. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, then women started putting these heavier and heavier sort of earrings in, pulling their earlobes down.
Right.
But that's not the issue. That's been going on for decades. What's happened in the last 10 years because of the, what can I say, the more bohemian view of life
Yes.
amongst the male population is that men are doing it as well now, and I've been doing it for a while.
I've not seen very many men with long, droopy earrings.
No,
I've
but
seen
do you know what
plenty
they
of men
do?
with the hole in the ear.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
and
I
that's,
find that a bit, unfortunately, repulsive.
I find it repulsive, and it stretches the old earlobe. So it costs now something like £250 an ear.
Are you saying when they decided they don't want that anymore?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And it's called droopy ear.
Yes.
And to get it fixed, you literally do have to have a bit of it taken away. I've got an expert here, Dr. Taylor Barnes. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And
related to Cliff Barnes from Dallas.
No, not Cliff Barnes, who eats Chinese food every day and night. I remember once when
What's Chinese food got to do with it?
well, that's all he ever ate was
What, Cliff
takeaway
Barnes?
Chinese food. Yeah.
Are you sure? What, in Dallas?
Yeah, in those typical white boxes that you get in American Chinese takeaways. You know,
okay.
That's all he ever ate.
Really?
Yeah, he was famous for it.
Blimey.
I remember.
There's a picture of Tamara Eccleston, by the way.
Wow, isn't she a beautiful woman?
She certainly is.
She certainly is. And I remember once JR went into his office holding a bottle of crude oil.
Yeah.
And, Barnes was sitting there saying,
Barnes was an alcoholic, wasn't he?
At one stage, yeah, he was. Yeah, he woke up in the car thinking that he was ruined. And in fact, they just hit black gold,
Right.
or black dirt or something. Dirt.
Black dirt.
Yeah, or something. Anyway, so JR walks into the office and Barnes is sitting behind his desk, all pompous, because he thinks he's snatched a load of valuable prime land from JR in a deal where there's billions of barrels of oil below it, you know.
Okay.
And JR walks in, with his Stetson on and says, Barnes, I brought you some oil. And Barnes says, what are you playing at here, JR? What do you bring me this oil for? I got billions of dollars of oil now because I took that land off you, JR, because you weren't quick enough to deal with Cliff Barnes.
Why are you making that ridiculous face while you do that?
Yeah, well,
by the way, Jason, who told us earlier about wet lead and pubs, right? He says wet lead refers to pubs who do most of their business through drink sales and not food. Right up Porky Street.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay.
So that's what wet lead, because it means not so much lead as in L-E-A-D.
Yes.
It means L-E-D. So it's led by things that are wet.
Yeah,
you see what I mean? I.e. the alcohol.
By drinks rather than
that
food.
That makes a lot of sense.
Although most pubs survive these days really on their food sales rather than their drink sales. That's true, isn't it? But anyway, so JR says...
Why are we talking about JR?
Because we were talking about...
somebody called Barnes,
Yes,
right?
that's right. The expert on the ears is called Catherine Taylor Barnes.
Catherine Taylor Barnes.
Cosmetic doctor woman, Catherine Taylor Barnes. But anyway, to finish the JR, JR says, Barnes, let me tell you, there is more oil in this bottle than there is in the whole of that land. You've been duped again. Barnes, can I tell you?
An evil, twisted man. It's not surprising he's your idol.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You have once again become the perfect failure.
Now, how about this from Mervyn?
Left.
Porky's head's gone, he says. Too much Willa Booby on the mind. And nothing wrong with those plans that he read out, except for the slow worms. I'm with MG all the way.
Yeah, rubbish.
And then he says, Cymru and Bath.
Cymru and Bath.
Because it's a big game this weekend, of course, between England and Wales.
That means Wales rules.
Down at Cardiff, at the Millennium Stadium, whatever it's called now.
Down at the Millennium
Eddie
Boyle.
Jones, of course, having had his mind meld with Gareth Southgate.
Yes.
So I have to say, I'm not feeling too confident for England.
Yeah, well, we'll see. So Dr. Taylor Barnes says in the 80s, women used to wear those big hoop earrings which would get snagged on clothes when they were undressing and rip the earlobe. There are a lot of women with ears like that who are reaching their 60s today and their earlobes have just collapsed.
Right.
It's made worse by a drop in the estrogen.
Estrogen?
Estrogen, yeah.
What's estrogen?
It's the same thing.
Something to do with a big bird.
So anyway, look, that's the latest fad in plastic surgery if you're thinking of getting it.
Yeah, I'm not actually, because I've never had an earring. I did think about getting an earring once when I was at university.
I would not have an earring.
Why not?
I simply would not have an earring. I'm
sorry.
I
wouldn't have one now, but when I was about 19, 20, there was a few people that I knew that had an earring.
Why?
I just fancied it.
Yeah.
Same reason I wanted to get get my hair hennaed.
I think if you're...
But I didn't do that either.
I think if you're a personality, if you're successful, if you're,
Well, you're a personality.
Yeah,
you're successful. Not a very nice personality, but
Yeah.
I mean, you are one.
I mean, my good pal Ian Wright has an earring.
So would you tell him he's a disgusting disgrace?
I haven't said that about anybody wearing an earring. I said I wouldn't have one myself.
You
but
said
it
that
seems
the
right.
people wearing them in their ears with the big hole.
Oh, no, that's horrible.
That's horrible.
Because it's a big ring of plastic, black plastic.
Well, it's the sort of thing that you'd
earlobe.
see in an Amazon tribe, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right, yeah, usually in the mouth.
Well, this woman I had to get an interview with, right, because I was tasked with finding someone who had lots and lots of plastic surgery.
Yes.
She had a young sort of toy boy boyfriend.
Yes.
And she lived on Long Island, and she was around about sort of in her early 40s, you could say, right? And it turned out much to my surprise, that she ran a brothel. Which I didn't know.
Right, where did you meet her?
I can't remember. I had to go through some plastic surgery place.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Because the problem was, the piece they wanted me to write was about somebody who was a slave to the scalpel.
Slave to the scalpel.
And I had to spend an awful lot of time with this woman and her boyfriend, about probably 2 weeks, taking them out for dinner, talking to them nicely, saying, and at one stage in the course of me befriending them, she said, well, the only thing I'm worried about is that they're going to end up doing one of those kind of headlines that they do, like slave to the scalpel.
Yes.
And I went, no, that's just absolutely not going to happen.
Yeah.
And of course, that was exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And they then weren't very happy with me, and they sort of pursued me over the course of the next month, trying to have bad things done to me because they felt that I'd betrayed them.
Yeah, exactly. You'd lied to them.
Well, I hadn't really. I just sort of slightly misled them.
No, you hadn't misled them. You had hidden what you knew was going to happen.
Well,
you'd been duplicitous, basically, hadn't you?
If I hadn't been duplicitous, I would never have got the interview.
No, well, exactly.
That's the part of the problem.
Yeah, you see, scumbag. Get into the gutter again. Any gutter-like tactic. Moral life of an alley cat.
Not true.
Professional life of a scumbag gutter.
Not true.
Urchin.
How about this from John? He says, a taxi company near where I live has a fleet of 50 electric cars and increasing that every day. So Porky's wrong again.
Yeah.
About the electric car ports.
Well, are you talking about what's the whispering car?
What do you mean, the
one?
Toyota Prius?
Yeah, it's the Prius, isn't it? Well, that's not an electric car, is it?
Well, it's half electric, isn't it?
But
it's a hybrid.
Yeah, it's a hybrid, but you don't charge it up,
He's not talking about that. He's talking about 50 electric cars. And there's a lot more electric cars out there than you know.
I don't know anybody's got an electric car.
Well, you don't know anybody.
What?
You don't know anybody, that's why.
Of course I do.
Postman Pork, I eat my chips with just a fork, 'cause then I can still talk.
Now, it's quite weird because in front of me I have a screen where I can watch myself and you actually as we're speaking to each other.
Yes.
Because that is what Facebook Live does.
Exactly, that's
now,
great.
I'm going to try and show you that without wishing to put you off.
No, that's fine, don't
because
worry.
You've got a whole post bag there of things you're going to open up and have a look at. And if there are any gifts, obviously, we may either auction them off for charity or we may, in fact, just decide to share them out somehow.
Indeed.
Depending on what they are.
And are we going to get going?
We're going to get going. I'm going to put out now a link onto Twitter if I can, which will enable people to get onto Facebook and watch it as well.
Yes.
So let's do that. So why don't you start off with some of your posts there and letters
We're going to do that.
We're
going to do that right now. Just making sure I've got everything in place, OK?
Yes.
Right, here we go. First of all, thank you very much, everybody who's written to Postman Pork here at TalkSport Towers. The address again for future correspondence, 18 Hatfields, London SE1 8DJ. Right, the first package tonight, it comes from Amazon. So this has clearly been ordered by somebody who is a correspondent and listener to TalkSport. It says here, Postman Pork, care of the two mites, 18 Hatfields, and the address I just gave you. I'm going to open this now.
You're not going to just keep reading out the address, are you?
Well, I want people to know the address. I want it to become very familiar with them because, remember, we welcome all correspondence here. Right, I'm opening this. Here we go. There's a package in here. Oh, my goodness me. This is fantastic.
What is it?
Do you know what I've got?
I can't see you. What I'm going to do is I'm watching you on the screen instead.
OK, I'm going to show you this. I've got a model Lamborghini.
A model Lamborghini?
Lamborghini.
Which particular model is it?
Utterly fantastic. It says it's the, let me see, Lamborghini.
Yeah, must have a model, mustn't it?
Murcielago.
LP
670-4 SV.
OK.
It's a scale model, officially licensed product. Therefore, this is not just a little toy, it is a replica of the car itself.
May I have a look at it, please?
Of course you can, and I'm going to try and find out who this has come from.
Yeah.
Quite often these things come anonymously. It says here...
Sorry, I've accidentally just put you on live.
Oh, that's OK, don't worry.
But I don't want to have you babbling on in the background.
No, I don't want to be babbling on in the background either. All it says is...
that's very nice, isn't it? I've seen these on the road.
You have?
Yeah.
Yes, a very nice car indeed. Maybe I've got an ambition to have one of those one of these days. So you
couldn't get into a Lamborghini.
It's a 3-inch City Junior Lamborghini Murcielago die-cast model. Thank you very much indeed.
Oh, right.
The thing is...
It says choking hazard, not for children under 3 years.
Yeah, OK. The thing is, I don't know who it's from, so I'm awfully sorry because there's absolutely nothing in there which says who it's from. But never mind, that is a lovely present to start off with. I'll have my car back, please.
You want it back?
I want you stealing it.
I'm not going to... Well, I have children, who might enjoy that particular car.
I might enjoy it. Right, here's another package here. Postman Pork.
Yeah.
Mike Porky Parry. Here we go. TalkSport, 18 Hatfields. Just
don't read out the address every single time.
Well, I have to because people think, open this. Let me see.
I've just tweeted out, by the
Right.
way, if anyone's looking for it, the link to watch this live on Facebook.
Okay, that's great. Well done.
The numbers are rising even as we speak.
Now then, for some unknown reason,
Yeah.
somebody has sent me a copy of the DVD of Dances with Wolves.
Dances with Wolves?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Do you like that
Dances with
film?
Wolves. Well,
It's one of the films you've actually
yeah.
seen, isn't it?
It's a film I've seen, and I think in it Kevin Costner is just a complete hypocrite. He signs up as a striped leg for the U.S. Army, and then he goes native and starts fighting on the Indian side.
Well, because he
the
believes that
Native Americans,
well, he
but they're
believes
called
that,
Indians in
well,
the
he
film.
believes that there was some injustices going on.
Yeah,
so quite
well,
rightly, he defects to the other side. What's wrong with that?
Well, yeah, I don't like defectors. Anyway, that great is another present. I'll put it there. Thanks. Got a watch last week, by the way. It's very nice.
Yeah, what have you done with that watch? Did we not say that we should actually
we are.
auction it
Going
in
to
some
auction
way?
it.
We might have to do that on Twitter, though.
Right. Now, first of all, I can reveal this comes from Martin Holland.
Martin Holland?
Not Matt Holland.
You
who
sure
is
it's not
my
Matt Holland?
singing partner.
Matt Holland, the man with the terrified face at the Christmas
it's
party.
a video you might have seen.
Yeah.
And it's Martin Holland from Newport in South Wales.
Oh, right, yeah.
Hello, boy.
Lovely place, Newport.
Yes, and he says...
Very picturesque.
It is very picturesque indeed,
not
yes.
actually, no.
Yeah, Newport.
No, Newport
is
isn't.
a dump in it, yeah.
Well, it's not really a dump, but Celtic Manor rises high above it,
I know
right?
Celtic Manor very
Celtic Manor is what you
Played
might
golf
call...
there, actually.
You have never
I
played
have,
golf
honest to
there.
God, I did. But
You'd never get round there.
I promise you, Mr.
It's a
Brazil.
very, very difficult course.
We only stayed there because of an England international.
I used to stay there regularly.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Anyway...
I once ordered some garlic bread, right?
Yes.
From room service.
Yes.
And they rang up and said, terribly sorry, we haven't got any garlic bread. I said, why not?
Yeah.
He said, the chef's run out of it. I said, what do you mean? How can you run out of garlic bread? Does he not know how to make it?
Thank God he'd run out of garlic, but I couldn't stand garlic. Yeah. Right, dear Porky.
Yeah.
Dear Porky, I have been a fan of your show for many years.
I don't think you should read it out in a fake Welsh accent.
I won't. And attended 2 live shows last year, one at St James Theatre and one in Cardiff. Well, there you go.
St James was the year before, wasn't it?
St James was the year before.
Yeah.
My neighbour accidentally ran over my pet tortoise last week. Sorry to hear that.
That's terrible.
Sorry to
What
hear
a
that,
terrible
Martin.
news, that.
So my neighbour accidentally ran over my pet tortoise last week.
Was the tortoise making a break for it?
So listen to this. So in compensation, he gave me his DVD collection.
That's not much of a compensatory thing for a dead animal.
So I thought of you immediately when I inherited
That's
this
awful,
one.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Poor tortoise.
Yeah. Well, I thought of you immediately when I inherited this one, as I know it's one of your favourite films.
Yeah.
Well, it's not really, Martin, but I'm very grateful for it. Thank you very much indeed.
Is it something that you haven't got, though? Because, I mean, sometimes you get sent things you've already got.
No, it's
How about
great.
you can watch it over the weekend?
I possibly could.
You can fast forward it to the bits you like.
Yeah. Right, I know it's one of your favourite films. I hope you enjoy it, because one of the reasons I've given you is I think it's complete rubbish. So that's why I've given it away. And it says, P.S. Porky Vision is the greatest bit of radio I've ever heard.
Really?
Has anyone been attacking Tracy Barlow recently? I know I would like to. Well, that's
You see, you've got to sometimes read these messages before you read them out.
Definitely. But anyway, look.
Luckily, you didn't
that's
use
it.
the magic F word.
Right, let's get stuck into another one. Thank you very much indeed.
A lot of people still watching it live on Facebook.
Yeah. We'll get stuck into this one and find out.
Got some comments here, actually, as well.
Mounted this stuff here. Yeah, go on. Yeah,
I don't know if I can do the comments without actually hearing what's going on.
Yeah.
Maybe what I have to do is silence it.
Okay.
Hang on.
Yeah.
I'll
have to silence it.
Well, I'll turn the volume down and I can read the comments.
Right. So this says, "Hi Porky, can you please sign the enclosed pictures and return them to me in the prepaid envelope?" Now I'm not sure why I would be asked to sign these because they are in fact pictures of our colleague Danny Murphy.
Pictures of Danny Murphy?
Yes.
Why would you want to be signing those?
I don't know.
Are you sure you haven't opened some of his mail by mistake?
No, definitely not.
All right.
No. And it says, this chap's name is, he says, my name is Cully. That's Kully. He lives in Bedworth in Warwickshire, and I'm sure he wouldn't want us to sign those.
Got a great note here from Brad. Is Porky going to dye his beard like on his failed TV station?
Pictures here of Danny Murphy. Thank you very much indeed. What do you mean, a failed TV station?
Well, that one didn't work.
That wasn't a failure. That was an experiment. Listen, thank you very much indeed for that.
Yes.
We'll get round to sorting that out one way or another with our colleague Danny Kane. Right, what have we got here? Let me have a look here.
What else you got? It's not very exciting so far.
Hang on. This is this says to the Porkmeister.
You're going to get moving move on as well. We're nearly out of time.
Yeah, don't be daft. Don't be enough. Plenty of time here. Right, here we go to the Porkmaster. Right, here we go. Oh, blimey! Look, what have I got here?
What have you dropped?
It says it says season's greetings.
Okay.
It's a bit late, isn't it?
It is a bit.
It says it's to Porky.
Yes.
From St George's Park project status report.
What?
Yeah.
St George's Park?
Yeah.
Is that from the FA?
Yeah. Well, don't.
Maybe they want to call you back in.
Maybe they do.
Come back and save the day.
Put that one down because they don't need that one.
Well, you don't want that.
Another one here. Here we go. This is to the Porkmeister.
Yeah.
And it's from Lower Largo.
Lowell what?
Lower Largo.
Where's that?
It's in...
I've heard of Key Largo.
It's in Leven, in Fife.
Oh, Leven, okay.
Fife.
Leaving, you mean?
Leven.
Leaving on a jet plane.
Eh?
Leaving on a jet plane.
Right. Let's open this up and see what's in here. Right, here we go.
Okay.
Now then, what does it say here? Here we go. Some pictures here. Right, here we go. There we go. See what this is.
Come on, hurry up.
A couple of letters here. Wait a minute. Yeah.
All right.
Right, okay, here we go. It says... let me just find out. Wait a minute. Right, dear Porky.
Yeah.
Hang on. I'm a collector of autographs, and I'm writing to ask if you could please sign my 2 covers for my collection. I've been collecting signed covers for my collection for...
Cover of what?
Well, these things here, look.
What are they? Well, show them. Hold them up to the camera.
I'm going to. Here we go.
There's a camera over there.
There's one there, and there's one there. Very nice, actually. We will look after these and make sure they get back to you.
Let's have a look.
There we are.
Let me see.
Yep.
What, they're covers with stamps on them?
Yes, that's right. Yes,
okay.
yes.
It's from Guernsey Post Office, first day cover.
Oh, here we go.
A tribute to European football.
Football legends, the European Championships.
If I hold it up like that, more people will be able to see it.
I tell you what, this one's got football legends on it. Pictures on the front of Danny Blanchflower.
Okay.
Billy Wright.
Oh, yeah.
Dixie Dean.
Oh,
Top
your
one
favourite.
there. Dixie Dean.
You've
My
mentioned
God.
him in the past.
My God, I certainly have indeed.
Yeah.
And, well, that's, there we go. So that's the letter there.
Very nice. So you're going to sign it for him then?
Absolutely. It's from Kevin.
Okay.
Lower Largo 11. We'll get all that sorted for you,
Leave it.
Kevin. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. We haven't got
That's
much more
very good
time,
indeed.
I'm afraid.
Much more time. Just
No.
one more.
Go on.
Just time for one more. So we got here. Let's take a package from here.
Okay.
Here we go. Is this one? Yeah, it's this one. Yeah. Okay. This is to Porky. It's from. Not sure it's from Carmelite House, Victoria Embankment.
Carmelite
Isn't that
House.
the Daily Mail?
It used to be
Yeah,
Carmelite
it used to
House,
be,
didn't it?
Yeah. Oh, no.
I think they've moved out there now.
Oh, no. It says return address is Hurlingham. Right, let's have a look.
Why did it say Carmelite House on it then?
Well, I don't know. It says Carmelite House on the front.
So no watches this week then?
No watches,
Thank
but
goodness for that.
don't worry. Right, here we go. Let's get this out of
It's
here.
going to be the last one, I think.
Right, this is... it's been sent me a book. But
Send me a book.
No, somebody sent me a book. They
Yeah.
says, Dear Porky, this is specially for you. You will appreciate the title.
Uh-huh.
Well, I can't... I'll show this to the audience, but it's a bit of a risque title. If you can see that.
I don't think you can hold that up, can you, on Facebook Live?
I don't think you can, but it's it says An Honest Meditation.
Yeah.
It's by Jason Headley. He sent it to me saying, you will love my new book, okay?
Yeah.
The author, Jason Headley, writer and director. But I have to say, it's risque because...
What's the content, though?
Well, it's something about
why don't you try
meditation.
well, let's read a bit from the front,
Okay.
the first thing.
Okay, Mahatma Gandhi says, everyone who wills can hear the inner voice. It is within everyone.
Uh-huh.
Okay?
I don't hear your voice at the moment, unfortunately.
But the title of this book is spelt F-gap.
Yeah, well, you don't have to spell it out.
Yeah, and then 2 more letters.
Don't literally spell it out.
And then the second word
You've seen the time.
is that. It says An Honest Meditation. I'll read you out another
jewel of wisdom.
Another jewel of wisdom, a whole page, and you know what's written on it?
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Am
well,
I right?
You don't need to ask yourself that, do
Another
you?
page. Just acknowledge that
Just look at the time.
everything in life is wrong. Oh, dear me. No, this book is not good.
It's not for you.
I'm sorry.
All right, well, maybe we'll have to auction that off.
This is going in the bin.
That, of course, was a Postman Pork.
Postman Pork, I eat my chips with just a fork, 'cause then I can still talk.
Don't forget to come back tomorrow for another sparkling, as fizzy as a bottle of champagne podcast from the 2 mics.